My name is Damien Riley. I'm presently physically in Brooklyn, New York, where I live with my wife and my 9-year-old son. I'm in my son's room, so you can see a little needlepoint of Winnie the Pooh in the background. I work in addiction treatment, so I'm a recovery coach. So I work with people that are um, want to change their relationship with substances, or they've just gotten out of treatment and want to get their life back together. And I'm in recovery myself, so I use my lived experience along with a certification to help others get on the right path or get on the path that they choose. So let's see. It was some time ago. So I'm about to turn 51 years old. So when I was around 27 years old, so 24 years ago, 23, 24 years ago, I was I was living in New York City at the time, and I was living a life, kind of a rock and roll lifestyle, and I was not taking care of myself. I was indulging in a lot of drugs and alcohol and not living a very healthy lifestyle. Um, and I thought I was just having fun at the time. However, I did kind of know that, I wasn't necessarily on the right track in terms of my health. And I started getting these sensations in my mouth, some discomfort when I would move my tongue, almost like it was connected to my face and there was some sort of pull. And when I would move my tongue, it would kind of I would get some pain. And then I started getting sharp pains at the top of my head. So, just to paint a quick picture, I have chronic facial pain on the right side of my face. Um, so at the time, again, I was not living a healthy lifestyle. So I did go see a doctor. The doctor kind of had some theories about what was going on. Didn't really have a concrete idea of what was causing it, but did sent me to a neurologist. And because I was getting these sharp pains, they had to kind of rule out, tumors and things like that, which scared me quite a bit. Um, and so and then I went and got MRIs, and they ruled out all these like awful possible things it could be. And they kind of said, all right, well, you have some sort of condition with your trigeminal nerve. And they prescribed Neurontin at the time, and that was sent on my way. Um, and I tell my story. The substance use is an important part of my story because at the time it caused me to really self medicate my pain and use alcohol and other substances to medicate it, to avoid facing it, avoid dealing with it, and avoid giving it my full attention. So I've spent many years on medications, which I don't think really did anything because I was, drinking alcohol on it, and they were ineffective. So I never really followed that pathway efficiently to get a real straight answer on what was going on. Um, and eventually the pain slowly would get worse, and then I started having discomfort on the right side of my face, and I would be on the medication, off the medication, and then eventually I got sober. So I stopped using substances and alcohol, and thank God I decided to surrender to this life of recovery, and really start changing the way I was living my life and taking care of myself. And part of that journey uh, it was focusing on what was going on here. So why was I experiencing this pain? So I started really seeing a neurologist regularly, and then it was just one medication after another, and then it was, I was referred to two neurosurgeons in New York City who were highly reputable with a procedure called microvascular decompression. So I went to these two surgeons. Both of them said that um, they could help me. They took an MRI and they saw a nerve compression at the back of my head. They said they saw something compressing the nerve, and what they were going to do was put this piece of Teflon between the nerve and a blood vessel, and that was going to relieve the pressure, and then the pain would go away. So I had the procedure done once. I went to two surgeons. I went to the one surgeon, decided to go with one surgeon. He did the procedure. He said, I found this huge artery on your nerve. I decompressed it. You should be feeling better. Didn't feel better. So after that experience, I kind of really, I was, I was really mentally crushed because I had high expectations. And um, I believed the doctor. I believed the surgeon that he gave me confidence that he was going to make me feel better. So and but I did not. So I kind of backed away from Western medicine, and I moved towards Eastern medicine. I started doing acupuncture, and acupuncture was helpful at times. However, I think that I expected acupuncture, I think it's important to note that each time I tried something new, my expectations was, I want you to make this go away, and that's why I'm here. I'm here so you can fix me, make this stop. So I went to an acupuncturist for a year, and I had some relief. There was times I had relief, but nothing consistent. Um, and so then I kind of stopped doing acupuncture, and then at the time I was like losing weight, and I was trying to do different things, and years, days, and months and years would go by, and I would just kind of go on living and surviving and managing the pain whichever way I could. Um, Peppermint oil was a big one. Just like lathering my face with peppermint oil all the time. Sucking on holes meant eucalyptus to like numb my mouth because I had this painful burning sensation in the right side of my face. As I gathered more and more information, and then I started getting involved in like a community of people that were dealing with the same kind of pain that I had. So I learned there's two different types of trigeminal neuralgia. There was trigeminal neuralgia, which is these electrical shock like pains, and then there was atypical pain, which is chronic facial pain on the right side, which is this constant burning, which is what I have. So I learned that like this microvascular decompression doesn't always work for that second type. So I was kind of a little resentful at the surgeon. However, I realized that, there was still a chance maybe he could help me, and I try to let go of that resentment, move forward. I, I try to just really start to live a real healthy lifestyle. I think it was one of these situations where you're like, when you Google something and then you're on social media and all of a sudden an ad pops up. Like, oh, this knows what I'm thinking. How did Instagram know I was researching chronic pain? So I think that's how I found out. So I went on the Curable, and I was kind of playing with that, and like meditation had always been something I was interested in, and that certainly had helped me in the past. So, you know, Curable was kind of explaining some uh, some techniques using meditation, which made sense to me, and it spoke to me. So the idea, the concept of emotion trapped in my body, and learning. And at the time, I hadn't, it was pretty simple. I was basically learning that there was this kind of mind body connection, and because of unreleased energy in my body, emotion, however you want to cause it, there was some pain. My nervous system didn't know what to do, and it was causing me pain. So that I said, all right, well, part of me was like, that sounds a little crazy, but then the other part of me so I started digging, and it's interesting because years earlier, I had a friend of mine had he had back pain, and I went out. I had Sarno's books at home. I never read them, but I had them. And I gave it. Oh, I never read these books, and I gave it to him. But I had no idea. I never thought I had the pain, but I never made the connection that there was chronic facial pain was connected to chronic back pain, or there was some sort of similarity there. I never made that connection. There was a early story, one of these similar to this, when Curable first came out, there was some free offerings that they had, and there was just recordings. There wasn't any videos, and there was a recording of a woman. I haven't been able to find it. Part of me is like, are you sure you heard that recording? Because it was a woman with trigeminal neuralgia, and she told her story, and that was, I was like, oh, okay. So she started feeling better. So this isn't just about migraines or back pain. This is about this concept, this idea, this nervous system connection to the pain. And then I was like, I was I think there was a part of me that was all in and ready to go. And then I found out about curable groups, and I signed on to curable groups, and that was, I guess, the timing around that time. I know the timing because it was early 2020. I started curable groups because halfway through the groups, I think it was 10 weeks. I think we were 3 or 4 weeks in, was when COVID came in and everything shut down. So it was really bizarre timing. However, that was I found that to be really informative and eye opening, because I remember thinking, I remember one of the groups, there was, I forget what doctor it was, but she said, I talked about the peppermint oil, and she said, well, when you're putting the peppermint oil on your face, you're telling the pain, you're sending a message that the pain needs the peppermint oil to relieve it. So maybe try not using it and see what happens. And sure enough, I did, and the pain didn't get any worse, and it kind of, it didn't go away. It wasn't instantaneous, but it didn't get any worse, and it kind of, I was able to manage it. I was able to deal with it, and I was fine with it. And I kind of went, all right, this is interesting. And that was the first time I was really like, holy shit, this stuff works. This is something I need to commit to. I need to commit to. And I think around the same time, I got a mind-body therapist. And there's after curable groups, I started working with a woman named Anna Holtzman, and then I worked with John Consek. I learned about the PRT. So I worked with John Conseka from the Pain Psychology Center, because I really wanted to. Because once I learned about PRT, I really wanted to work with somebody that was that had experience with that. And as helpful as Anna was, she wasn't certified in that, so I felt it was important for me to do that. So started working with John, and I worked with him for some time, and he was very helpful, and he helped me kind of really build, and through the curable groups, I built a lot of self compassion and a lot of self love, and John helped me build a lot of like worthiness, self worth, and recognizing that like this condition I have, all right. So I've been diagnosed, I've been told that I have this thing, and there was a period of time where this thing was controlling my life. Everything I did, everything I ate, everywhere I went, every decision I made, I was thinking about how it was going to affect the pain. And I was not doing things a lot of the time because I was afraid of how the pain was going to affect. So eventually learning about pain science and recognizing that there's just something going off my brain saying there's something, and it's a false alarm. And recognizing that and saying, it's okay. Like, I can do these things. Like, I used to go outside in the winter with like a big face mask on my head because I was so terrified of the pain. And then one day I just like went out without the mask and I was fine. And it was just so like that moments like that just really showed me that, okay, maybe the pain, maybe the answer isn't to make the pain go away entirely. Maybe the answer is, and I think Anne actually said this to me. She said, well, why don't you stop trying to get rid of the pain and start trying to get rid of the fear? And that, that was like very, little moments like that were like, and then that was, through those little moments and little kind of sayings and things that came along and aha like moments. It's like, all right, well, this doesn't have to control my life anymore. And yes, the pain is there. However, that doesn't mean it has to limit me in any way. About a year ago, I think, I started working with Rachel Amundsen. And about, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, I got to a place of acceptance with her. And that was like a huge breakthrough where it was just like, all right, the pain is there. It's not going to slow me down. It's not going to stop me. And sometimes at the end of the day, I'm in a lot of pain, or at least I think I am, but I'm actually just tired, and I'm just hyper focused on the pain because I'm tired. So the pain's really not that bad. It's just me being tired. And yeah, there's moments where I have flare ups and, but I don't panic anymore. I don't, I just kind of like, I take a deep breath and I have a lot of tools today. I have a lot of things that help me. I still see a mind body therapist. I see Rachel consistently. She helps me kind of stay centered. I still meditate daily. I still try to be as healthy as possible just because I'm getting older and I want to be healthy and I live a life of recovery. And as I mentioned, I work with people who are trying to get their lives back together. So I lead by example and try to live a healthy lifestyle. So this is all inclusive of what I'm trying to do. And part of that, part of my journey and part of my recovery journey has influenced my ability to really accept my journey in chronic pain and not let it control my life, not let it determine my future, not let it tear me down. Because I was going in that direction before I found Curable. I was moving to a place where I would just be probably sitting at home and mentally in a place, a very dark place, letting it control my life. And that's not where I am today. I'm in a very good place. And can I say I'm pain free? No. But I can say that I'm not afraid of the pain anymore. you know, and and I'm in a place where like I'm okay with it, and I'm gonna be okay with it, and yeah, I'm gonna have tough moments, but I'm also gonna have a lot of great moments. So those are the ones that I look forward to, and that's what I hold on to, and then I remember that I'm not always in pain, like, and I can sleep at night, and I'm blessed to sleep at night. Like, I know that some people can't sleep at night, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that. Um, but there's a lot that could be, things could be better, things could be worse, but I'm pretty grateful with the way things are. Well, I would tell my younger self to be a little bit more patient. Patience is something I've never really had, and I still battle with. So I really haven't learned my lesson. However, I've been wired for instant gratification, and um, the thing I would tell my younger self is like, look, be patient. Like, you're going to get relief. You just have to keep showing up, and don't and like what I would give people, the advice I would give people is continue to experience things. So if I'm really tired and I don't want to go out and be social, that's one thing. But if I'm saying I'm not going to go out and be social because of the pain, well, then I tell myself, go out and be social. And I'm usually pretty happy I went out and I was social, because the pain actually, yeah, it was there, but I still had fun. And I was a lot better off than sitting at home thinking about not being out and having fun, and being hyper focused on it. So my advice would be just go on about your life and keep putting yourself in situations where you have opportunities to experience things. Even if you feel like you're going to be in pain, even if you're afraid of the pain, just put yourself in that experience, and then see what happens. You know, see what happens. Just give it a try, because like you can't let the chronic pain control your life. It will tear you down, and it will control, and it will put you in a fixed mindset that things are never going to get better. Um, but it's important to remember that following, with a movement like Curable, and remembering that there's all these mind body therapists out there. And I mean, there's so many resources out there now to tap into. And these are like beautiful people, like they're really great people. And it's actually a fun community to be a part of. So it's not like you're just tapping into some like people with like awful bedside manner or anything. You're just like, you're really, it's like good, warm-hearted people. And that's usually people with chronic pain usually are, they have big hearts, and they usually have a lot of these characteristics that warm-hearted people have. So you'd be surprised how much fun you could have. So just try to put yourself out there. Don't let the pain control your life. That's what I would say.